Welcome back to another episode of Important Miscellaneous Talks. I am your host, Lasper Crossfield, and today we have a very special guest with us. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Colby Eubanks, and I am a travel content creator, adventure, whatever you want to say.
Got you. So talk about your upbringing and where your love for travel stems from.
Yeah, so there's not like one specific instance where I really started falling in love with travel. I grew up like a skier, so I would go on like different ski trips here and there, and I guess that's kind of what instigated it. And then just over time, I just fell in love with just the aspect of going to new places, exploring new places. So then by the time I like turned 16 and I got my driver's license, like the first thing I started doing was just like going on solo road trips. So just like driving around to different parts of the US, sleeping in my car, and just exploring as much of the US as I could. And then that led to me about like 6 months ago deciding to fully get rid of my apartment and just go travel and be nomadic full time.
Mm, got you. So what's the best city that you visited thus far?
Um, I loved Thailand. Finland was cool. In terms of those are countries, but in terms of city, I don't even know. The thing, I don't know. Yeah, you just go to so many cool places. It's like hard to pick one after a while.
Mm, got you. Well, best city in the United States.
In the US, I mean, I loved Salt Lake City. I mean, I'm kind of biased because I lived there for a year, but like it's such like a perfect city because it's the only place in the US where you can go from like a downtown environment to like the summit of a mountain in like 20 minutes because the city is just completely surrounded by mountains. So like you have that feeling of living in an urban environment and all the conveniences and stuff that goes along with that. But then like I personally like mountain like climbing and skiing and hiking and doing all that like outdoorsy type stuff. So
Mm,
just having the proximity to the mountains, like it's there's no place like it, I feel like.
got you. Is this what you do for a living? Like just travel?
Well, by trade I make videos, so I'm a freelance filmmaker, videographer, content creator. So I have a variety of clients that I shoot videos for and whatnot.
All right, give me a second. It's finally here. Okay, he's getting set up. So when you left high school, did you expect to do this for a living?
I had already kind of started doing it when I was in high school. So I started doing like freelance work when probably like my sophomore year of high school. I started getting some clients. So by the time I graduated high school, I was like, okay, I want to go after doing this full time. So I decided not to go to college and just instead just focus
Mm.
on doing what I liked, and it's built itself up pretty well since.
Did your parents have an issue with that, or did they fully support your dreams?
Yeah, we got into some debates when I was when I was in high school because like every parent they kind of like dream of their kids going to college, and that's what they want them to do. But I was like, no, I don't want to do that because I don't think it adds any value to what I'm trying to accomplish. So why waste my
Mm.
time and money? And they pushed back pretty hard at first, but then once I started getting some traction and they saw that, oh, he can actually make money doing this, and they were pretty supportive after that.
Got you. How how in the world are you able to travel for this cheap? Please let the world know.
I mean, it's just what I tell people is like the two biggest things you can do to travel is you gotta one, you have to pick where you're going strategically, and then also just kind of being like flexible with your dates and kind of being strategic with that. And basically, what I mean by that is like there are so many expensive countries in the world, there's so many cheap countries in the world. So, like, if you want to travel for cheap, go to a cheap country. And in the US, we're fortunate. We're a very wealthy country. We make tons and tons and tons and tons of money compared to the rest of the world. So we can travel to a cheaper country like Thailand, like Eastern Europe, Africa, and the cost of living in those countries is lower because they don't make as much money. So for example, I was able to go to Thailand and I was able to rent a top floor condo for $15 a night. So when you're able to go to countries like that, you save money compared to when I was in Scandinavia. Like Scandinavia is so expensive, and that's just a matter of just the income in that country determines like the cost of living. So if you're fortunate to come from like a Western country, you have a lot of money, go to cheap countries. And then also being flexible, like with your dates. And obviously everybody can't do that. They only have like certain periods of off work, so they have to travel during that time. But if you have the privilege of being able to kind of be flexible, that helps a lot, because then you can go onto like Google Flights and they have like a feature where you can see like, find me the cheapest date to fly to this place. So you can be like, oh, the cheapest date is on this day, and then that's the day you travel. So yeah, it's kind of just being strategic in that manner.
When you travel, how long do you typically stay in a country or state?
I mean, it depends. I spent 2 hours in Monaco. I spent a month in Thailand. It kind of just like depends. So I bounce between places fairly fast. Sometimes I go slower, but the most recent trip I was on last fall, I bounced between countries pretty fast. But now I'm traveling at like a slower pace. Right now, I like to spend a few weeks at least in one place.
Isn't that draining? Like all that.
Oh yeah. No, that's 100%. That's why I'm like traveling at a slower pace now. Cause like last fall, when I did my Europe trip last fall, I was literally in a new country like every other day, and it's 100% draining. Like but that's like part of the fun, is it's like so chaotic, but obviously like that's not sustainable for months and months on end. You can only do it for like a few weeks at a time before you're just dead.
How many countries can you say you've been to in total?
I think it's 20, 21, 20, 22. Yeah.
Countries. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's yeah.
For someone trying to become the next Colby Eubanks, what would you suggest that they do?
I mean, if you want to be the next me in terms of like being able to make a living making videos and traveling, or it doesn't even have to be making videos. It could just be like having some sort of job that lets you travel. I mean, step one is just develop whatever that skill is. And fortunately, one of the great things that has come out of the pandemic is there's a lot more employers and job opportunities that allow you to do your jobs remotely. So what I do in terms of making videos, that's just one of many jobs that can allow you to travel. And it's this whole rising movement of digital nomads. So you have like graphic designers, web developers, all those sorts of like jobs that can be done on a computer. So step one would be get good at a job that can be done remotely. And then once you have income coming in from that job and it can be done remotely, then you can just pick up and go. So like you can go live in whatever country. And that's back to what I was saying earlier, is you have that Western income and that lower cost of living. So it pretty much makes it so you can travel indefinitely forever and do it cheaper than you're paying to live in wherever country you were living in beforehand.
So how exactly did you get your start in this? Like what? Like how did you develop your love for this? Like where did it come from? Where did it stem from?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about him earlier, but it kind of just came from, I would take little trips when I was younger, and then just as time went on, I just slowly started doing bigger and bigger trips and just got more and more into it as I started seeing more places.
As like in regards to like being a videographer, making videos.
Yeah, that also started at a fairly young age. We had like a little like Sony like flip out handy camera when I was a kid. So me and my brother, we'd run around and just film stupid videos with that thing. So that kind of sparked the interest. And then I saved up money to buy a GoPro when I was like 13. And I started just messing around with that. And then that kind of just accelerated my passion for videography and filming things and whatnot. So after that, I kind of just like fully sent it into that art form.
So out of all the places you've been to, which has been your favorite and which has been your worst and why?
Worst experience was probably it's funny because I loved the country. The country was awesome, but I just had a few bad experiences where was probably Morocco because
Really?
one I got robbed, and then just the people there are very, very assertive, and like you're walking down the street and you just have a million people screaming in your ear to like walk in your shop and buy something, and like they're all like you'll be stopped at a red light in your car and there'll be a 12-year-old kid banging on your car window trying to sell you tissue. So they're always just like trying to pull you in a bunch of different directions there. So that it's overwhelming, but also is like kind of nice. So that's probably like the worst experience.
You said you got robbed like a pocketing type of way, or someone like, oh, give me your money or what you have type thing.
Yeah, I was like, give me your money, but it was very strange because I actually negotiated with them. So in Morocco, they have their economy is heavily reliant on tourism money, and so the Moroccan government tries to like do their best to like protect the interests of tourists because their economy is relying on it. Especially after there was an incident like 5 years ago where some girls actually got like killed by an Islamic extremist group in Morocco, and that kind of that took a big hit to their economy for like a couple years. So ever since then, the Moroccan government has been like really like doing their best to ensure the safety of tourists. So for the most part, the locals, they won't like violently rob you or anything. Like they won't pull a knife on you. They won't like they won't beat you up. They won't do any of that stuff. But what they're very good at is just like little petty theft. Like, yeah, they do a lot of pickpocketing, and they have like a bunch of these like little scams where they convince you to get money. So what happened to me was I was walking down the street, and this one nicely dressed man, clean shaved, spoke great English, did not look like somebody who would rob you. He was like, oh, you can't go into, I was about to like walk into a square. He was like, oh, you can't go that way. They close it off for like the Muslim prayer time, whenever prayer time comes around. And I obviously wasn't going to question that. So I was like, okay, yeah, 100%. So he was like, I'll show you the right way. And I was like, okay. So I followed him a little bit. And then he led me like around a little alley and then into an alley where he had a friend waiting. And then upon that, I realized he lied to me, and he was just like convincing me to get with his friend so they can rob me. So they start demanding that I give them 200 Moroccan dirham, which is like 20 US dollars. And I'm like, no. He's like, but we showed you the right way. And I was like, no, you lied to me. And then you just led me into an alley to rob me. So we start going back and forth, blah, blah, blah. He was like 100 for each of us. And I was like, okay, I'll give you 100. I'm not giving your friend 100 because he just showed up. They're like, we want 200 and back and forth more. And then eventually they start kind of like threatening me, like, do you want trouble? Like getting my face, like, we'll break your face, blah, blah, blah. And once again, I know that like they're probably not actually going to hurt me. But obviously when you're in that moment, like you kind of give in a little bit. So I was like, whatever, I'll give you 100. And they're like, no, we want 200. So eventually I just pulled out 100 of my wallet, gave them 100, walked away. They didn't follow me or say anything after that. And yeah, so very interesting robbery story.
Wow. And well, what about your best place? That like, because you've been around a lot, but has there been a place that's really like jaw dropping to you, like that really had you stunned?
I mean, everywhere I go is like pretty much jaw dropping, but a place that like surprised me like more than what I was expecting was Slovenia, which is like a tiny little country to the east of Italy. It's very small, but it is absolutely gorgeous. And I was not expecting that when I got there. So that place blew me away.
So when you travel, do you embrace the culture as well? Because I know that's a big part of traveling, and not just the culture, but you know, the food along with it.
Yeah, 100%. So I always try to eat as much of the local food, find some local friends, and yeah, just try to immerse myself as much as possible. But sometimes you got to be a little careful with that.
Mm. Well, which food did you like the most, and which food didn't you like at all?
Thai food is incredible, especially in Thailand. So
Mm.
Italian food in Italy is also very good. So those my three like if I could only eat like three countries' foods for the rest of my life, it'd probably be Thai food, Italian food, and Mexican food. Those three countries have such good food. But then worst food was probably, I mean, there wasn't one country that was bad, but maybe like Finland. They eat some weird stuff there. And then Morocco was good at first, but then after a while it kind of got old because there wasn't much variety. It was kind of just like the same couple of dishes.
Do you usually prep? You know how when people travel, they prep, they do their research. I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go there, like, or are you a go with the flow type traveler? Like whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, definitely pretty just go with the flow. I mean, I do make like a general plan of like, okay, I'm going to go to this country, I'm going to go to this country, and then I'll make a list of kind of like things that I want to do there. But then when I get there, I kind of just like, yeah, I'll go with the flow. So I don't set like a hard set at this time I'm doing this, then I'm doing this, then I'm doing this. I kind of just have a big list of cool and interesting things that may pique my interest. And then once I get there, I just do whichever one I'm in the mood for or whatever pops up.
Have you ever had Italian pizza?
Yeah, I had a lot of pizza in Italy.
Have you ever had New York pizza?
Yes.
Which one's better? I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but
Yeah, I mean the Italian pizza is good, but like nothing beats like just a quick like New York slice.
let's go.
You know?
Let's go. As a native New Yorker, we should really appreciate that.
Real.
So, how would you suggest someone monetize traveling? Because that sounds like everybody's dream job, just to get paid to travel around.
Yeah, so like you don't, like I was talking about earlier, you don't necessarily have to monetize traveling. You just need something you just need like a job that allows you to travel. But if you want to make money directly by traveling, which is, I guess that's kind of what I do. Like my job's like kind of remote, but then it also kind of involves traveling because I have to like go film videos in certain parts of the world. So I mean, the easiest way to do it is in the content game, the social media game. So you shooting videos for hotels, shooting videos for tourism boards, or if you have a social media following, then you can just do like brand deals and whatnot. But yeah, I'd say those are your two best bets. Or you could work for a like travel-based company. So like I met friends, they work on like super yachts. So when you work on a yacht, you get paid to travel. And then there's also other websites that I met some people who do some stuff off of. It's called like World Packers, and very few of them actually pay you. So it's good like if you're young and whatnot, but there's like a bunch of different opportunities, and they'll give you you can basically like go to these places and they'll give you free food and free accommodations if you work in exchange for like a set number of days during the week. So you could also do that as well.
Got you. So do like hotels like hit you up to like, or in restaurants in the country to hit you up to like, experience them?
Yeah, it's about half and half of me reaching out, and then sometimes companies and whatnot will reach out to me. When I was first getting started, it was pretty much 100% me just firing off hundreds and hundreds of emails and 2 people responding. But then over time, as you build up a portfolio and you kind of do better at networking, you have to do less of that reaching out, and more people will start reaching out to you.
What's the success rate when you reach out?
I mean, these days it's I don't know. It's dependent on what I'm asking for, but I'd say generally it's maybe like 20%, 25%. But when I first started, it was probably like 1%.
Do you get like hotel deals and like free suite stays and stuff?
Yeah. So if I'm working for a hotel, they obviously like let me stay for free and whatnot. So that's led to me getting to stay in some pretty wild hotels. Like in Thailand, I stayed in like a $1,000 a night Ritz-Carlton room, and I
Nice.
had like a private butler like driving me around on a golf cart and stuff. so that was crazy. So yeah, just stuff like that. Whenever you're doing work for hotels, it's always just an added little benefit.
When I go out to Thailand, I gotta hit you up, man.
Have you made connections while traveling, like meeting new people, um, and have those relationships like flourish after,
Yeah,
like after meeting
yeah,
them?
yeah. That's like the coolest part about traveling. You just meet like so many people from like all around the world. So like now I literally have friends in like so many different countries, and a lot of them also travel. So it's like cool because especially with like social media these days, because like we can just stay in touch and like see each other's Instagram stories and swipe up, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm in this country," and then you'll be like, "Oh, no way, I'm gonna be in that country in a week," and like you just cross paths with all these people again. So that's kind of like one of my favorite parts is just having a bunch of new friends who travel and whatnot who you can meet up with.
How old are you, by the way?
I just turned 20.
Oh, so okay, because I wanted to make
20? Wow.
so what about when it comes to because hey, women, especially overseas, look different, built different. You be clapping them?
I mean, I do use Tinder overseas. And it's funny. You actually you get a very high match rate with Tinder overseas, especially in the Asian countries,
Oh, believe me, I
which
know.
is
Interesting. Interesting. So do you plan it out before you go? Like all right, you're in Mexico right now. I'm gonna be in Thailand in 2 weeks, so let me download the Tinder now, or like once you land, that's when you get to work.
nah, I'm too cheap to pay for Tinder Gold or whatever, so I just use it when I get there.
Got
Which,
you.
which it works either way, but like especially, yeah, I mean it works either way. But when you're there, it's like this for real. It's
Yeah, no, literally, that's how Europe not so much, but like yeah, if you're in like Thailand or one of those like Asian countries, so many matches. It's
no.
wild.
I
Interesting.
hope you strap it up too, for real.
Do you have the women poured in expeditiously since your increased fame?
Have they what?
Have they poured in like at a rapid pace?
Not really. I mean, I I mean, I'll get like I don't get like girls DM because like I just my style of content and videos I make, like I don't make thirst trap videos, so I don't get like women like pouring into my DMs like, oh, you're so hot. I'll mostly just get like girls who slide into my DMs like, oh, let's go travel and that type of stuff.
I mean,
Uh,
you can work with that though.
and
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
It's a good conversation starter. How is the dating scene for you? Because with you traveling like literally a country a month, bare minimum,
mhm.
is that do you feel like that's working against you or for you when in the dating scene? Because a lot of them will see it like, okay, he looks exciting, but then someone may see it and be like, well, he's not gonna have too much time to attend to me.
Yeah, I mean, I've never like I'm very busy. I'm bouncing between a bunch of places. My work keeps me busy, so I've actually never like fully like dated somebody. Um, so like I guess it's pretty difficult, but also I just choose at this stage of my life, I just haven't put much effort into it because like I don't necessarily want to have to deal with all that baggage right now. But I don't know. We'll find out in a few years, I guess, once I decide to start trying. But right now, I just don't put much effort into it. I'll just like
So
swipe on Tinder, try to meet some people, and that's about it.
so you're just out here being a whore.
No, not that. Like, not even that. Like, I don't even meet up with like people off Tinder. Like, I have a couple times, but like, I'm not just hooking up with a ton of people. Like, I don't even do that much. I kind of just like stay in my own lane, do my own thing for a little, and then if I
Gotcha.
cross paths with somebody's, and we'll hang out a little bit.
So yeah.
Do you speak any other language?
Very little Spanish, and that's about it.
Interesting. So going to all these countries where they speak so many different dialects, do you find that to be difficult at all?
It wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Because that's like a question I get a lot is like how hard was the language barrier? But like at this period of society, I guess, like everybody speaks English. Well, not everybody, but
It's
there's
still
all
the most
there's that
popular
there's
language.
always
Yeah.
there's always somebody nearby wherever I've been that can speak English. It's typically like I'll go to a shop and it'll be like an older person operating the shop, but then they'll have their son nearby or their daughter nearby who can speak English. So pretty much, yeah, that's kind of how it's been. Is like all the younger people, no matter where I've gone, can pretty much speak English. So it really hasn't been that bad.
There's usually a saying that, you know, traveling opens up your mind, expands your horizon and perception on things, on life, specifically when you see other places and cultures. Do you think
Yep.
that's, yeah, I was gonna ask you if you agree with that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Because you just like when you just kind of like stay in the place where you've always grown up, it's like that's what you used to, and that's your perception of the rest of the world. But yeah, when you go out to other parts of the world and you see how other people live, I mean, one, if you come from a country like the US, it just makes you extremely blessed and grateful, like tenfold, because like you truly see how fortunate you are to just be born in a country like this. But then, yeah, it's also just like it just makes you have more empathy for people and just
Mhm.
yeah, just be more respective. So yeah, and that's a big problem, is because like most people, they kind of just they feel comfortable in their own little bubble of where they grown up, and they never kind of really go outside of that bubble, so they never really get to experience that.
What has been the kindest city that you've gone to?
Kindest.
New York?
Hell no.
When I went to New York, it was actually very nice because I went June 2020, so nobody. I was literally
Yeah, no
the
one's
only one
outside.
on the. I was the only one on the street. um, People. I mean, damn, they're so nice everywhere. I mean, in Thailand, they're very nice. Um,
Gotta spend the block to tie one time, boy.
Yeah.
It
I
seems
mean, most of like Western Europe's pretty average, I'd say. But yeah, I guess Thailand's probably the first one that comes to mind.
the rudest.
Morocco.
Like outside of that one incident, the people in general there, you say like are pretty rude.
Well, it's weird because they're very nice, but then they're also very rude. So like when I was in the cat
Friendly?
when I was in the capital Marrakesh, that's like their major city and it's very crowded. Everybody there was rude and just trying to scam me out of my money and just I mean, there was a few people that were nice, but for the most part very rude. But then I rented a car and I kind of road tripped through rural Morocco, and outside of the major cities, like those were like incredibly nice people, probably some of the nicest I've ever met. So it was a stark contrast between like the city and then like the rural environment there.
Mm.
Like for example, when I was in rural Morocco, I booked this like Airbnb in this family's home, and I got there, and traditionally when you like book an Airbnb in someone else's house, you don't really, or at least for me, because I'm an introverted person, I don't really, I'm not that outgoing. I'll kind of just like go into my room, chill, and then like I won't really talk to the family or anything that much and hang out. But like upon getting there, the son who was like kind of like operating the Airbnb or whatever, they like invited me to dinner with their family, and like I ate dinner with their family and their grandparents and whatnot. And then like
Mm.
he took me around town, and he took me to like this little like cafe that all his friends were hanging out, and we sat there and we watched soccer and drank tea. And then like the next morning he like took me on a hike, and like everybody in that like little town was like so nice. So just depended where you were at in the country.
Got you. The cleanest city.
Copenhagen or Helsinki.
Well, Copenhagen is Denmark, right?
Denmark, yeah. Yep.
And Helsinki is
Finland.
Finland.
Just Scandinavia in general. Super clean.
You seen the Northern Lights, right?
Yep. I saw the Northern Lights in northern Finland a couple months ago.
And how was that experience?
It's weird because it's like cool, but to be honest, it's kind of a letdown if you've seen like pictures. because pictures of the Northern Lights are very vibrant and bright and colorful and green and whatnot. And that's how it is in real life, but not quite as bright. So like, and that's just because of like the way that when you take a photo of the Northern Lights, you do it as like a long exposure, and there's certain camera settings that you can like make them brighter and bring out the saturation more in camera. But then with the human eye, you have to like focus a little bit harder, so it's not as like bright and vibrant, but you can still see it. So it was still like a beautiful thing, but if you're expecting what you see on Instagram, it does not live up to that, but still cool experience.
Is it safe to say that you've seen a majority of the 7 wonders of the world?
I don't even know. I don't think I have. Like, I don't even know if I've seen any of them. Like, what are they? Like the Great Wall of China, haven't been there. I haven't been to the pyramids. I think the Jesus statue in Brazil's one. I haven't been there.
Statue of Liberty.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that.
Eiffel Tower.
Is that one? I've not been to Paris. Paris is like the one city in Europe that I did not go to. So I actually need to go back there.
It's a letdown, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's what I think. That's why I didn't even go, is because like it just seems like it's so overrated. So like I literally hit like every single spot in Europe, like except Paris. And everyone's like, why didn't you go to Paris? Why didn't you go to Paris? And I was like, it's all people talk about. It's probably just overrated, but I need to at least give it a chance. I'll go back there one day.
Yeah. You'll be disappointed. It's not what it seems.
That was my next question: is what city haven't you traveled to that you would like to travel to the most?
That I want to go to probably right now, probably like New Zealand and Australia, just because those countries have been closed for so long for the past 2 years. I really want to go there. Bunch of spots in Africa. Africa probably has the most places that I want to go to compared to any other continent. In terms of particular city, probably Bangkok. When I was in Thailand, I was kind of like in the coastal areas of Thailand, but I did not get to go to like Bangkok. But Bangkok seems cool, so I want to go there.
What are some of your favorite activities to do when you travel?
I'm a bit, like I said, I'm a big fan of like the outdoorsy, like hiking, climbing, that type of stuff. I like eating a bunch of food, like clubbing every once in a while. And generally just kind of like walking or like just walk. I mean, especially like if you're in like a big city, especially in like Europe where the cities are very like walkable. It's like dope to just like get a little spot in the middle of the city and literally just walk around the city all day. And also like I like road tripping too. Like if I'm in a rural part of the country, it's fun to get a little rental car and just drive around.
Out of all the places and cities you've been to, which have the prettiest women?
Oh, that's a good question.
Denmark, I mean Scandinavia again. Denmark, Finland, Spain.
Brazil.
I've not been to Brazil. Czech Republic was good.
Colombia?
Yeah. I have not been to South America. I'm actually planning to hopefully go to South America here in like a month.
Dope. All right. I'm trying to think, is there any country. Okay. All right. You've been to London too, right?
No, that's another one I haven't been to that I want to go to as well.
Okay. You're crossing off extra credits and
I know I skipped all the major ones. I went to Dublin though. I was close to London. Kinda.
What activity would you say that you haven't done that you would like to do?
Kite surfing has kind of been intriguing to me lately. So I would like to learn how to kite surf somewhere. Or like scuba diving. That'd be cool too. Something like that. Something in the water.
Have you ever skydived before?
No, that's another. I want to get my skydiving license.
Wait, license? As in you'll be able to skydive by yourself?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am. Like I don't really like the tandem jumping, like jumping with somebody else. Like I've never done that, but it doesn't really excite me. I'd rather just do it on my own. So I'd rather just go all out and just might as well get my license.
Still on the edge. Wow. You've been in a private jet?
No, that's one thing on my bucket list though. Hopefully
Interesting.
soon.
I saw. I saw.
Hopefully I'll have a client. Hopefully I'll have a client who's like rich and like flies around on private jets and they'll like let me on with them or something. I don't know.
Cause I saw an image. I thought you was on a private jet.
Nah.
Got you. So, good.
Now, so what's the, they say the sky's the ceiling, but what's the ceiling for you since you've done so much at a young age? Like, how high is high enough?
I don't even know. I mean, that's kind of like, that's like a fear of mine. It's like peaking too early. Like, am I doing, like, I think about that a lot. Like, am I doing too much too soon? Like, am I just going to be miserable for the rest of my life because I had so much fun at the beginning of my life and I'm like never going to live up to that again? But then also it could also go to the opposite way and just like keep on getting wilder and wilder. So I don't know what that looks like. I mean, I guess it probably just involves continuing to travel and seeing more places, but I don't even know. Just have to wait and find out. But hopefully it's not the first way and I don't peak in like a year because that would suck.
For real.
What do you think the next level for a traveler like yourself would look like?
Probably just bigger like project budgets for what I'm doing. And like
You're a filmmaker, all right?
Yeah. So that's probably what it'd be involved with is like probably shifting more away from the commercial stuff and doing like documentary narrative work.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I want to go long term is I want to like do documentaries and whatnot. So I'd probably say that's like the next level, or I guess it's probably a few levels away, but that's kind of like long term where I want to be.
So what was your most favorite project to shoot?
I did a campaign for Dell computers almost a year ago, and that involved, I mean, it was my idea. They had this laptop, and they're like, okay, we're giving you this laptop, go make a cool video. So the idea I came up with was to hike with this laptop 26 miles to the summit of this like almost 14,000 foot tall mountain and then edit a video on the computer on top of the mountain and then shoot a whole video about this process. So that was probably like the most absurd, like wild, like fun project that I've done for a client, was just hiking their computer to the top of a mountain to edit a video on top of the mountain.
That's crazy.
Nope, I would have never thought of that.
It's not the norm.
No. It was wild.
26 miles that's a troop too. Like it's not easy.
Yeah, no, I was dead at the end of the day. It was brutal. It was like a 14-hour day.
Jeez.
Wow, you're dedicated.
You seem to really like thrill.
Like, I'm very into like the adventure, thrill singing things.
What's your favorite movie?
I don't even know. I really don't even watch that many movies, which is weird. Because I feel like every like filmmaker, like video person, they just watch a bunch of movies. But for me, I really don't even.
You just rather create fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like if I just sit there and like watch a bunch of movies, I'm just gonna start copying other people. So I'd rather just like let my brain come up with the craziest things I can think of.
Got you.
So how do you come up with your ideas? Where do you get your inspiration from?
I used to not know, but I think I have found out recently it just comes out of boredom. So like I used to try to like force ideas upon myself. Like I would just sit at my computer staring at a blank notes app for hours, just like trying to think of something. But I've realized that my best ideas have like just come out of like boredom or like when I'm not doing anything. So like I'll be in the shower or I'll be sitting at the doctor's office, or I'll just be sitting on my couch not doing anything, or I'll be walking or I'll be hiking or something. So I've tried to I've tried to implement, and that's hard to do, especially like these days, is because like we've kind of lost touch with boredom because of phones. Like whenever we're
Yeah.
bored, we've just pick up our phone. So I've tried to like stop doing that, and
Mhm.
whenever I get bored, just sit there, because then your mind will think of a way to entertain you rather than your phone. And when your mind's trying to entertain you, it often like comes up with ideas. So that's kind of been my recent realization.
What do you do for your mental health? Because all this traveling nonstop and all your creative juices almost running on empty round the clock, it has to be so mentally taxing. What do you do to stay sane?
I don't do anything, which is probably really bad.
I just
But
think
like it hasn't, like I mean, yeah, like I struggle with like some of that stuff, but it hasn't hit me like super hard yet.
you haven't burned it.
Um, yeah. So there's nothing like really specifically. Um, and I think if I ever do burn out, which is like, I mean, it's probably going to happen. But the good thing about what I do is it's very easily to transition. So kind of what I mean by that is like in the video making, filmmaking world, there's so many different like niches that you can do. Like you can do commercial work, you can do social media work, you can do documentaries, you can do narrative. So whenever you get bored of filming one particular thing, you can just shift to the next, and it's a big enough change that
Mm.
it's refreshing for you, but but you're still good at it. So that's kind of like the good thing about that. But yeah, for the most part, I kind of just like deal with the stress and the anxiety and whatnot.
Wow.
What has been your favorite memory thus far from all this traveling? If you could pick one memory, I know it's
I mean,
hard.
I jumped off this 79-foot bridge in Bosnia and became a member of the local diving club.
This is bungee
So that
jumping?
was no, like I jumped off the bridge into a river.
79 stories?
Yeah, it was nearly 80 feet.
Could
That's crazy.
couldn't you have died?
Yeah. So
So casually.
in this, so there's this town in Bosnia called Mostar, and there's this bridge called the Stari Most that was built a few hundred years ago. It actually got destroyed in the Bosnian Croat War 20 years ago, but they rebuilt a replica of it like 20 years ago. Um, and ever since it was built like a couple hundred years ago, somehow a tradition started off with a local boy like jumped off the bridge, and then that kind of like became like a local legend slash tradition of, in order to become a man you must jump off the bridge, and that's kind of like when you become a man or whatever. So it's been this tradition in this little town for hundreds and hundreds of years. And there's now like the Mostar Diving Club, and they have a book, and this book is a record of every person who has ever jumped off the bridge in history. And these local members of the diving club, they basically go around all day, and they make their living by collecting money from tourists. And then once they get enough money, they'll jump. So like they'll be like, oh, we need for like, oh, once we get $20, we'll jump. So they'll get $1 from one person, $1 from another person, $1 from another person, and then once they have like an amount they're happy with, they'll jump. However, you can also pay them $30, and they will kind of like teach you the traditional way to jump from the bridge. And they actually have a 30-foot like practice platform, so they'll take you there, and they have like a traditional like form on how they do it, and they'll train you. And then if you're ready, they'll let you jump from the main bridge. And then kind of like the legend is, if you survive, you get granted into the diving club, and you can go back for the rest of your life and jump for free. So I was the 3,803rd member of the diving club.
Did you go through all that preparation, or it seems like you're the kind of character, well, you know what, just sign me up. I'm jumping off 80 feet if I live, I live.
Like I've done, like I said, I come from that kind of like adventure action sport. So I've cliff jumped before, and I do that type of stuff. But that was the tallest I've ever jumped from.
Yeah.
So I had like some like preparation and training, but I was still pretty freaking scared.
The man claims he's an introvert. Wow.
Oh,
I am. That's why I do stuff like that. Is because it's what
Hmm.
pe- people don't like. I don't do well in like social settings, so I resort to that stuff.
wow.
Out of your comfort zone.
I thought I did crazy shit.
Nah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's that crazy.
Yeah, it was wild.
Well, that's all the questions I have for you today. Thank you so much for this experience. I felt like I traveled with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.